Hello guys, my name is Carlos. I'm an instructor from the Scriptcase courses, and today I'll be presenting to you guys the Scriptcase webinar, Creating a Rental Management System. So guys, let me explain you guys a little bit about the system. Well, it's basically a system where you can inform the locations of some properties that you want to place for rent. In it, basically, you're going to see mostly forms and grids, and we're going to create a couple of layers of grids. Basically, the first one, let's say, will be the property itself, which has a layer of details about the property itself that you select that contains a couple of images, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how to create this system and make it sellable. Alright, but do note, today's webinar we're going to divide it in two parts. Okay, so technically today's webinar is going to take about an hour. The second part I'll continue with you guys on Tuesday. Alright, today I'm going to show you guys two parts, basically the properties and rentals parts, and on Tuesday I'm going to show you guys the reservations and the public access for the customers. Alright, firstly, let me show you guys the database from for this system. Okay, so showing you guys here the database, we're calling it rental management, and when you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tables. Right, so it's a simple system. So the first one is the properties itself, which saves the ID, the title of the property, if it's available or not, the capacity as in rooms, some details about it, the amount and let's say price of the rent, the location, and a primary image. We have another relational table that's called rental properties. In this table, we're going to store the dates, like a log, storing the information of the current rented properties and the range of dates that are going to be opened for rent or not. As you can see here, we have a state column that basically tells you if it's rented or not, or if it's reserved for someone. We have another table here that's the picture properties. This table is dedicated for a multi-upload field that we're going to use. Basically, it's going to have all the images for the properties. I have here some inserts, but I'm going to delete all the records so that I can insert with you guys manually on. Alright, I'm going to create the structure of the application first, and in the part 2 of this webinar I'm going to show you guys the system fully functional. Alright, then we have the reservations table, which contains the date of the reservation, the email, name, telephone. The rental ID will be actually the property ID of the property that the user wants to rent, if it's confirmed or not, if the user already paid, the amount of the rent, and the test which I was using for other purposes in programming. There's the locations table, which we're going to store, like, for example, downtown, East Coast, Northeast Coast. Alright, so we can do that. We can store cities. Alright, no problem with that. It's a little bit generic. Alright. As I said, this is a simple database, so there's not really much complexity on using it. I'm going to import this SQL to the database I'm going to create here. Okay, so let me log in here with my user. Let's create here a new project. I'm going to call it rental management. Okay, let me look here for a icon. Rental management, just for the sake to have a icon for the project. Okay, so let me get, let me see here. How about this one? Right, let me save this. Let's go back here. Project, icons. Let's upload the image. Select that. Okay. Let's go to next. I'm going to use English. I'm going to use the basic Bluewood template. Okay, now let's connect here to the database. I'm going to create a new database as set the name in the SQL, rental management. Okay, test connection created. Let's continue. Yes, I want it to be UTF-8. Alright. First, I'm going to create a blank application. Alright. That's basically going to be used for a background image. So the only purpose of this application is to be used as a background image for the menu application I'm going to create at the end of the webinar. Alright, so we need to call this application blank bg background. Alright, so let's create it. In the application settings here, I'm going to add an application image. Actually, just one. Going to go here to project, background images. I'm going to upload a file that I have here. Okay. Question, how am I going to import this image here to the application itself if there aren't any interfaces to do that? That's simple. Basically, there's a routine that I'm going to do here. What I did, basically, I closed the PHP tag from PHP, open up a style tag, and I'm defining that the HTML element will have a background color white, and it will have a background image with the URL which contains the location of the current file that I just uploaded, which is located in _lib img / grp. Actually, that first part of the application of the image name, is generated by Scriptcase as the access level and the type of image as it is. So the grp represents project level. Then you can see _nm, that is standard, and you see the bg, that stands for background. And as you can see, another _nm, and after that you're going to see the name of the current image. Okay. Continuing on, we have here the background repeat, which I set to no repeat. There's a background size, which is a cover. And we have here a class SC form page background color transparent. Alright, so if I run this application, this is going to be the background image for the system. Alright, and looking at directly the generated HTML. I have a question here for Sirhat. He is asking me if the SC form page is a static name for the form. No. In terms of CSS, when you see a dot before the name, actually, this represents a class. So basically what I'm doing, I'm applying all the elements in the HTML that contains that class, the background color transparent. Alright. Now that I created this application, I'm going to go here to Database Builder, select here my connection, and I'm going to import, actually. I'm going to choose a file, go here to Rentals, SQL, open up here. Let me run it. Okay, so I just created those files here, actually those tables. Oh, I now got your answers to that. You want to know the name of the element itself. Unfortunately, directly in the application, you can't see it natively. You need to inspect the element directly in the generated application so you can know the name of the form. Although the common name as you see as a form generated by Scriptcase is normally F1, E being F a capital F. Alright? So in this case here, going back to the home here, I'm going to create a couple of folders, actually 5 folders. Alright? Let's go here and create the first one. First one's going to be 0 and 1 properties. The next one's going to be 0, 2 locations. Okay, the next one's 0, 3 rentals. 0, 4 reservations. And we have 0, 5 public customer. Alright, so we have these 5 folders. And now I'm going to start creating the applications. First, I'm going to create the locations application. So let's go here to 0, 2 locations. And at this point, I'm going to create the grid and form application in express mode because it already creates the link between them. Alright, let's go here to the express creation, actually batch creation. Select here the locations table. Going on here to generate the source code. Finish. Okay, let's go here to edit the grid locations. Let me run the application so you guys can see how it looks like, the information. It's a simple application, ID and name. So South Coast, Downtown, North Coast, City. Alright, so it's a very simple application. Not much secret to it. Firstly, I'm going to disable the detail module for this application. So I can just remove this magnifying glass here because I find it really annoying. Next, I'm going to go to the toolbar. And I'm going to remove basically all the buttons here, actually all the information's here from the top toolbar. I'm only going to leave actually in the right part of the toolbar the form buttons and the exit button. So this is how it's going to look like. Okay. This grid application has a couple of coding to do, but actually not exactly coding. It's more like a order by that I can place here directly. So order by name. So doing that, it's going to order by the name and not the ID itself. As you can see, it's listed 4, 2, 3, 1. So it's getting by the alphabetic way of name. Alright, so this application is finished. Alright. As I said, it's a simple application. There is not really much to do with it. Let's move on to the next folder, which is the properties folder. In this properties folder, I'm going to create about, let's say, 4 applications. Let's start by creating a grid application. Alright. This grid application is going to be using the properties table. Its name is going to be grid properties default. Alright. Let's create it. This grid application isn't going to have a search module at first. Alright, let's save that. Let me run the application so I can show you guys the information that it loads up. Alright, so we have here the ID, the title, if it's available or not, the capacity of the apartment, the details, we have the amount. Alright, so this is a very general information, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a HTML field that's going to link this application to another grid application that contains some images. Alright, in the images I'm going to change them directly because since I'm creating this project now on this specific machine, I only have the records, and as you saw in the SQL itself, what I have here is the files, which technically is only the name of the images that's supposed to exist in the project. So the images, in fact, aren't in this project, only the names of them in the records. So they're going to give a error when loading up because there aren't any images to load up, just a name. So it's trying to reference an image that doesn't exist. So in that case, I'm going to need to reinsert the images for each record. Alright, so let's go here to the field positioning. Alright, in this field positioning, let's see here. I want the ID there. I want to go up here, put the image. Next title, let's see here, capacity, the location ID. We have the available, we have the amounts, but the detail is not going to be present. Alright, let's run here so you guys see what it looks like. So technically, in this image column there, you're supposed to be viewing the image itself and not the name of the image. Alright, so let's go back here to Scriptcase. I'm going to go now to Toolbar. I'm going to remove a couple of things. Let's see, in the center top toolbar, I only want the search and dynamic search. Although the module is disabled now, but it doesn't make really much of a difference. In the right part, I want the form buttons, summary, save grid, and exit. Right, no problems on that. Then I'm going to go here to fields, and I'm going to start to set up the fields the way they need to work so that I can use them later. Okay, so let's go here to image. This field is going to be a data type of image file name. It's going to have a subfolder. Alright, its height is going to be 100 by 80. Wait, let me save that. After that, I'm going to go here to the available field. In the available field, I'm going to set a lookup settings for it and set it as manual. Alright, the label itself is going to be yes with the value y, and the other one is going to be no with the value n. Scrolling down a little bit, I'm going to set the horizontal alignment of this field to center, also with its title. So the title horizontal alignment center. Let me run it. See if it changed already a little bit of the schematics. Alright, as you can see here, it's already broken with the images because there aren't any images to load. But no problems. I'll get some images here from Google and overwrite them. Okay, so next part, location ID. Let's go to the location ID. I want also to apply a lookup settings. This case is going to be an automatic. Create the select based on the table name, which the key field is ID, and the field that will be shown is the name. This one, only the horizontal alignment is going to be left. Okay, let me save that. And the amount field is going to have a background color like a sky blue color. All right. Leaving this application here for now because I'm not finished with it yet. I need to create 2 other applications so I can continue working with it. Let's create now the form application. Okay, so let's go here, create a new application, form, properties. In this form properties, I'm going to create a couple of blocks. Let's go here to layout, blocks, and create here 2 blocks, BL_2, which stands for main images, actually main image, sorry. Let's create another one which is BL_3, which stands for other images. The primary block, I'm going to rename it to file. Okay, saving that. Now I'm going to go to fields, and I'm going to set up a couple of fields. Starting with amount. The amount, I'm just going to change its decimal precision so it doesn't show the decimal part. Alright, applying the decimal precision to 0. Then in the location ID, I'm going to change its data type to select. And I'm going to apply the locations table, same thing as I did in the grid. Save it. Then let's go here to the available field. I'm going to set it as a radio. I'm going to also set the lookup method as a manual, and basically the same thing. Yes, label with the value Y, label no with the value N. Okay, doing that, save it here. Let's now create another file, actually another field here. This field, I'm going to call it other. It's going to have the other images, actually other image. Turn off. Yeah, images. It's going to have a file. It's going to be an image file name. Okay. Let's set the table of this multi-upload to picture properties. The ID is going to be an auto increment. The property ID is going to be a forgotten key from the ID of the current table. And the file itself is going to be the upload. Right, saving that. Let me check here back to the blocks. I don't want the other images to be displayed, the label itself. Neither I want the main image to be displayed, the label. Okay. Going back to the field configuration, the image configuration, I'm going to set the image file to also image file name. And in the image file name, I'm going to create a subfolder. Apply it here, the value. What I'm doing here is I'm going to create a folder called property underline. And as you can see, I have curly brackets around the ID, which means it's going to use that as a reference to the ID field of the current application. In this case, which will be the identifier of the record. So it's going to create a subfolder with the name property ID, with the ID varying by the ID of the current record. Okay, and it's going to store in that subfolder the image. Okay, let me save that. Sirhat is asking how to use a different folder to upload the files. Okay, that changes in a way that, let's say for example, you're going to change it in the development mode. You can change it directly here in the settings. Basically, when you go here to settings, is it the default values? No, it's system folders. When you set here in the system folders, you're going to see their Scriptcase file EMG, but that's only for the development environments. If you want to change the folder that you're going to upload the files in production, you're going to need to deploy the project in advanced mode. So you can set the location of the folders manually. Alright, continuing on. Yes, I forgot to set here the height, which is 320 by 240. Oops, it's too much. 240. Alright. Then let's go here to the edit fields and want to reposition the fields in their correct block. So the image goes to the main block, and basically the rest stays here in the file. Let's run this application. So we have the apartment heaven. Apartment of heaven. Interior. Okay, let's get this one. Alright, luxury apartment from NYC. Now that's a view. Okay, so let me save this image as. Let's go back here, delete this record. Okay, let me paste this one right here, save. Let me delete these other three. And let's see here. Alright, this one. Technically I'm going to use only this record here as the traditional example. Alright. Let's see another one, this one. Okay, so start uploading. Alright, save that. Okay, now continuing on. Since I already modified this, let's run the grid application, see how it looks with that big image. It's not really that big, but if you click on it, you can zoom in. Okay. So, the form application itself is finished. Let's move on to the other application I need to create, which is called grid properties file. So let's create the next application, grid properties file. This application is not going to have a search module and a detail module. Alright. Then in the grid module itself, I'm going to change the orientation to use a slide. Alright. Let's save that. Then let's go here to sorting. This application is also not going to have any sortings. Let's remove that. Let me run the application to show you guys how it looks like. This is a preview, but I'm still going to change a couple of things. Alright. Let's go back to Scriptcase. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to create some blocks. Layouts. Blocks. In this current block that's created, I'm going to set the label to be above. Alright, so I can remove this bluish space that's on the left side, so it can basically be above each record. Alright, so let's save this. Let's create a new block. Here, BL2. Same thing as the image, as the form main image, and the other one, which is BL_3. Other images. Let's create it. Both blocks I just created aren't going to have any labels. Okay, so saving that. Next, let's go here to the fields. Look here for the image field. I think it's not set yet. Okay, let's go here to the edit fields first. Let me set the image field to the block main image. All right. Let me set the rest of them also. ID, title, capacity, detail, and the amount's going to stay off. Alright, saving that. Let's go here to image. Set this as the image file name. Let me add also the subfolder here. Height 100 by 80. In the toolbar of this application, I'm just going to leave a couple of buttons. Basically, let me remove everything from the top one. In the center, I want the PDF and print. On the right, I want the exit button for now. Actually, I'm going to create another button because I'm going to use this application later on. That's going to be called from another one. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a button I'm going to use. It's called btn back, which basically it's going to be called back. And the JavaScript code is history.back. So it's going to get my navigation status from my previous application and return me to that application. Let's save that. Let's go here to Toolbar again. I'm going to set it to the right side. Alright. There isn't going to be any buttons on the bottom toolbar. Alright, so remove that. Going to the layout header, I'm going to remove the date. Just going to present the title, which will be property file. And this application is going to have a where clause in the SQL part. So where ID equals par as a parameter, property, underline ID. Okay, saving that. This application also has a event routine in the event on script init. So let me copy here the event, place it here. So basically what I'm going to do is that par public is another global variable that I just created, which I'm going to validate if the value is 1, so I can enable the btn back and disable the exit button. In case it's not 1, it's going to disable the btn back and enable the exit button. Okay? Doing that, since this application is already created, let me go ahead and link this application to my previous application. Remember that I'm going to create a button here, correct? In the grid properties. Alright, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create not actually a button, but a field. It's going to say, let's say, details. Alright. No, not details. Yeah, details. Or better yet, file. Okay, I'm going to place an icon. Let's place here home. Let's see here. I'm going to use this one right here. New link. Let's link it to the grid properties file. Okay. passing on, oops, hold up, okay, passing on the part property as the ID and the part public as 0. Okay, let me save that. Let me rename only the label here. I'm going to place that as file. I'm going to say C file. Alright. Let me generate the source code of this application. Okay, and in the grid properties, I'm going to run it. And when I click here to see file, actually I'm going to actually see the file itself. Okay, but still I have a couple of things to do to this image. Let's go back here to the grid properties file. In the available part, I'm going to enable the lookup method, as in yes, y, no, n. Okay, let me just get here down 600 by 400, right? Yeah. Go here to this image. Okay, that's better. Okay, since I already technically finished this application, not yet completely, I still have to do a couple of things. Let's see, I need to create another application that's going to be contained in this grid properties file, which will contain the rest of the images from this current property. Alright, so the next application is going to be called grid GA picture properties. So let's go here and create that application. Basically, it's going to have the picture properties table. Okay, so let's create that. This application isn't going to have the search module or the detail module. It also is going to have the orientation as slide. Alright, so saving that. Going here to the grid settings, it's going to have 2 columns. Right, saving that also. Going down to toolbar, I'm not going to have any buttons, neither on top or bottom. Saving that. Going now to the sorting, I'm not going to have any sortings for this application also. And for the field positioning, I'm only going to show the file itself and change it here to image file name, which the height is going to be 300 by 200. Oops. Okay, let me save this. And in the layout blocks, this block isn't going to have a label, and the width is going to be 300 pixels. Right, so let me save that. Back in the grid properties file, I'm going to create now a nested grid. So new link. I'm going to call this images. Okay, images. Selecting here the grid GA picture properties. Oh yes, I forgot one specific detail. In the grid GA picture properties, I need to add a where clause also. where property ID equals par property ID. So in that case, I can send a parameters to filter out the images based on the current property that I'm in. Okay, passing on here the ID, save. I won't see any displays here, so not header, sequential, or total. The horizontal alignment will be center. Okay. Let me generate the source code of this application. Okay, now let's run. Okay, so I can now see the other images. Okay, closing out here, I just finished the properties folder. Okay, so I just created all the applications that's going to manage the properties itself. Let's continue on with the rentals. Actually, not the rentals. You see here. Yeah, it's rentals. The rentals folder. Close up here these applications. I'm not going to use them now. Okay, let's go here to the rentals. Create here a application, grid application actually, based on the rental properties. It's going to be called grid rental properties. Okay, I got some questions coming in. Albert asked that I chose align center, but the image aren't centered. Looking at the other application again, let me run it. What's it referring as center? Do you see the big rectangle? It's actually centered, but not the images themselves. Okay? Elbow is asking if it's possible to take out the borders. With no borders, the property file will seem clean. In the theme itself you can, but not directly in the application. Okay? So go back in here to the rentals. Recreate here the application. This application also is not going to have any search modules, neither detail nor summary. Okay, saving this. Let's go here and edit some fields. Actually, position them. First one's going to be ID, property ID. The week number is not going to stay. Then date from, date to, amount, state. Again, this is a simple application. I'm going to edit the property ID. Let me remove here the ID from the label, then go here to the lookup method. I'm going to place it as an automatic getting the information from the properties table. I'm going to align it right, since it already is. Okay. Let's run it. So technically this is how it's going to be presenting. Next, let's go here. I'm going to create a group by, actually a static group by. I'm going to call it properties. Getting it by the property ID. Okay, doing that, it's going now to group the records by the property ID itself. Let me run it again. I think it didn't run. Okay. Apartment Heaven, Apartment City, Sun and Ocean. Okay. Going back here to Scriptcase, let's go here to the refined search. Alright. Select here the fields. I'm going to select the property ID, then the state, and the amount. Save that. Going here to the edit fields, I'm going to add a range to the amount so that I can view now the left side search. So basically I can change here the amount. It's going to relist. Okay. Also, let's go here to the toolbar, and I only want in the toolbar for this application, move here to columns, sorting order, and everything here from the right. Okay, run it again. Alright. Next thing, I have some programming here to do also. In the onRecord event, I'm going to place this code right here, which is going to change the color of the font of the state and property fields. Okay, so it's going to validate if the state itself is available, reserved, or rented. So if it's available, it's going to color green. If it's reserved, it's going to color blue. If it's rented, it's going to color red. Okay. Next part, since I already created this grid application, we're now going to create its form. Let's go here and create the form rentals properties. Form rental properties. And this is going to be a basic form also. Basically, I'm going to go here to the fields. Go here to property ID. I'm going to set it as a select type. Apply the lookup settings to be automatic, getting the information from the properties table. Okay, then I'm going to go here to the amount field, set the decimal position to 0 also, and in the state field, I'm going to set it as a radio field, okay? Setting it as a manual lookup, and I'm going to basically place available for the label, available for the value, reserved and reserved, rented and rented. To make it look a little bit better, I'm going to place 3 columns so I can divide it in a better way. Okay, so let's run it. This is how the application is going to present itself at first. Okay. So, next, I have a routine that I need to do here in the form, which basically is a AJAX on change event on the date from field. So I'm going to go here to AJAX events, new AJAX event, apply a event on change event to the date from field. And I'm going to place this information right here, which is going to check if the date 2, actually not, if the date 2 is empty, and apply the date 2, getting a operation, comparing the information from the date from and subtracting a couple of days. Actually, not subtracting, adding a couple of days. And the second validation I'm doing is that if the amount equals 0. If it equals 0, then I'm going to select the amount from the properties table where the current property ID equals the ID of the properties table. Getting that, I'm going to apply the value to the amount field. Okay? Doing this, let's do a example here. Add new. Let's say it's going to be the loft type, 0 numbers, actually week number 0. Let's start it from today. Okay, so the amount itself, that's the price. So technically I have 6 days to rent. Okay, and the status is going to be available. Add it. So this application here, it's for informing the range of dates that that specific property is available to be rented. And in this part here, I can already set state of the property itself. If it's available, if it's already reserved, or if it's already rented by someone. Okay? Since this application is created, I'm going to go here to the grid rental properties. And I'm going to create a link, an application link, sorry, between these two applications. So I'm going to select here application, next, select here form rental properties, next, select here the ID, next, and allow here the new row button so that when I run the grid application, I can also create new rentals. So when I click here add new, I can add a new property for rent in a new range of dates. Okay guys, Sirhat is asking, how can I add the button to the row? You mean add a new button to a row on a grid application? That's easy. Basically, you need to create a new column, actually a new field. And in the new record, actually the on record event, you can inject a HTML tag to that field. So basically the field needs to be a text field, I think. Yeah, it's supposed to be a text field. And from that, you can apply the HTML tag, button tag for example, and apply the CSS you want to it, and when you click on it, where you're going to redirect it. Or you can basically create a new field of the type HTML image. Okay, add a icon to it and create a link directly by the Scriptcase interface and redirect it to the other application you want. Okay guys, I'll be continuing with you guys this webinar on Tuesday for the second part, which we have the reservations part and the public access for the customer. Okay? Bye guys, have a nice evening.